What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com bringing you a first look, overview, plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas Nemeziz 17.1. Now, the Nemeziz line technically replaces the Nemeziz 16 boots, so it is a completely new model with a lot of unique features that, of course, we'll be talking about in today's video. This is also the high-end Nemeziz model with a lacing system. They do make a laceless version as well, which I will be getting in for review very shortly, so subscribe to the channel if you aren't already so you don't miss my video on those. Anyways, with these shoes, we're going to be focusing on all the tech specs and unique characteristics that they've implemented into this new Nemeziz 17.1. We'll take a look at the weight, we'll take a look at how they fit and feel on feet, and essentially cover everything that you need to know about these if you are potentially interested in them as your next pair of boots. So if you want to learn more, stick around, watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below in the description. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $225 retail price. Now, being a top-end model from Adidas, they do come with a string bag that has the Adidas logo, as well as the Nemeziz logo printed there on the front. It's a black mesh material, a nice little extra, but expected with top-end models from Adidas. The shoes though, what exactly have they done here? Because it definitely has a pretty unique upper, this being the launch colorway in black and white with the neon yellow. And the actual pattern on the upper hides a lot of what's actually happening with the shoe. Now, the inspiration here is the agility bandage design. So basically, it's a variety of torsion tapes through the midfoot area of the shoe that create this kind of one-to-one wrap on your foot. It's a really interesting concept. Does it feel particularly unique on your feet? I'm gonna say right off the bat, no, not necessarily, but it does fit extremely well, and they're also very comfortable out of the box. Overall, I'm really impressed with how this new upper feels. But the agility bandage, which you do see of course, the branding right here in neon yellow on the medial side, is just part of the upper. You're also going to find their Agility Knit 2.0 material at the front near the toe area, as well as at the heel. But at the heel, it's backed by a plastic heel counter, so it's not something that's going to really impact touch. Anyways, basically split in kind of a V pattern. You can see where the material is, this agility kind of mesh-based material, which is called Agility Knit 2.0. It's basically an evolution of what we got from the Nemeziz 16.1 and the Nemeziz 16 Plus Pure Agility with its Agility Knit upper. This is the 2.0 variation. So it's thinner, it's lighter, it's softer, it's more flexible, and quite frankly, I like this a lot more. I wasn't crazy about the original variation of Agility Knit. In terms of the actual touch that it provided on the ball, I felt like it was thin, it felt nice and soft on your foot, but the touch that it provided for how thin the upper wasn't giving you the feel for the ball that you would have expected. This feels a lot different and a lot better though, but it only spans pretty much the forefoot and toe box area. So that's gonna be the thinnest point on the upper. The rest of the upper is made up of these agility bandages, and they did a really good job of kind of hiding the design a little bit with this pattern. So if you look closely, and you guys will be able to see it in the video, this upper is basically made up of strips of this elasticated bandage that is sewn together essentially, and they did a really good job of making it all completely smooth on the outside as well as on the inside. You don't actually feel any transition points, even though there's a lot of transitioning pieces of material throughout the entire upper. It's a one-piece construction in terms of the final product, but it's actually made up of so many different little pieces that come together almost like a puzzle to create one seamless boot, which is a really interesting way of doing things, and it does actually work quite well. The thing about this is it's not just straight up agility bandages that make up the upper. That's the base and the main structure for the material itself, but you also have the kind of polyurethane top layer on top, like you're gonna find with pretty much all of the top end boots from Adidas at the moment, more specifically the Adidas A17 lineup, be it the 17.1 or the 17 Plus Pure Control. And of course, you do have the non-stop grips on top of that as well, acting as your wet control element. That runs pretty much throughout the entire upper. Anyways, you have the top layer, you have the middle layer, which is your agility bandages, and then internally you have a padded liner as well. So the end result is a material through the midfoot where you don't have the actual Agility Knit 2.0 is not necessarily an overly thin sensation, but one that is thin with a nice soft padded feel to it. The liner on the inside almost feels like a really smooth synthetic suede, so it's very soft, it's very comfortable against your foot, and the material as a whole is super flexible. There's not a lot to break in here in regards to the upper, and it has a nice wrap on your foot overall, which you guys will see a little bit later during the on-feet portion of the video. Also, something worth mentioning with the upper is that the agility in it does have a good amount of texturing to the surface, especially with those non-stop grip dots, but does that actually result in any kind of modification to touch on the ball? No, not necessarily. Now the lacing system, as you guys can see, does run through the middle of the shoe, pretty much right through the middle, and it uses a dual lace hole system because it is a one-piece enclosure. So across the top of the foot, where the laces are positioned, you can see it's a slightly brighter white, and that's because it's exposed elasticated material. So this gives you an idea of what is actually reinforced across the rest of the midfoot. It is elasticated, and it works like a lot of one-piece uppers from Adidas as well as other brands, where you put your foot inside, it stretches a little bit, and then kind of compresses to the shape of your foot. So it acts as a nice seamless design, and it works quite well. It fits really nicely. And then they also added this extension piece here at the front with the 3 stripes, as you can see, a nice little touch. And it's essentially just an elasticated band. Again, more of that material that's covered up on the inside with the liner as well as the material on top. But this is fully elasticated, so it kind of gives it somewhat of a mid-cut look, even though I wouldn't really consider this a mid-cut shoe. And on the underside of this, basically right above your foot, where this would actually sit on the lower part of your shin, there are these little silicone dots as well to prevent that from sliding around or kind of bunching up on you, which is a nice little detail as well. The heel area, as you guys can see, has kind of an interesting cut. It's got this hard angle, almost like a V cut, but again, I would consider this to be a low cut variation. The edges are kind of more of an elasticated extension piece. So again, it feels like a low cut shoe. It doesn't feel abnormal or anything like that. And it's actually very comfortable overall. You're gonna find an internal plastic heel counter at the back, which is nice and solid. And then internally, this has a ton of padding back there. It's really nice. And one of the softest synthetic suede liners I've seen on a shoe in a long time. I really like how it feels. There's no issues with slippage. And it's just really comfortable out of the box. So no major complaints in that area of the shoe whatsoever. I'm really happy with this particular layout. The insole, fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. Just gonna pull it out. You can see it's neon yellow in color. It has the Nemeziz branding there at the heel. And it's essentially just a solid layer of this white foam, kind of the same thickness you'd find from a regular Adidas Comfort insole. It's got a mesh liner on top, or kind of this soft, almost padded material, and then some perforations through the heel as well as the forefoot area. So throughout the majority of the insole, there are some perforations. Again, it's nothing fancy as far as an insole is concerned. It's kind of typical Adidas, but it's a decent enough insole. It'll get the job done. No major complaints in regards to that aspect of the shoe. Moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern. Technically, this is not a sprint frame, which is unique, but it also is kind of a sprint frame. So this is what they call their torsion plate. And the idea behind this is kind of like the upper, how it's made to move with your foot really nicely. They've made kind of a torsion system through the midfoot that's supposed to torque with your foot, kind of match the movements of your foot as closely as possible, which it feels pretty natural on feet. It's got good flexibility to it overall. I would say it flexes a little bit more naturally than what you would find from the standard sprint frame from Adidas on their other lines, but overall it doesn't feel that much different. And what's also noticeably missing in comparison to other lines from Adidas with sprint frame kind of constructions, even though this technically isn't a sprint frame, is that the heel counter is internal versus external, kind of like what we talked about a little bit later. So that is kind of a carryover characteristic from the Messi line that the Nemeziz line technically does replace. And as far as the stud pattern is concerned, as far as I know, it is FG-AG like you'll find with the rest of the line. They only have it listed as FG, but I would assume it's kind of the same thing as the rest of the lineup. But the studs themselves, it's the exact same layout you'll find across the entire Adidas brand. You have the 3 studs on either side of the forefoot, 1 in the middle, 4 at the heel. So nothing really drastically different with the layout, but the studs themselves, as you can see, aside from the 2 front ones, they're pretty much just half circles, and then the 2 very front ones have a little bit of an extra cutout there at the very edge on the inside. So when you're pushing off, you have a little bit more bite with a couple extra angles on those two front studs. But overall, I would expect this to feel and perform very, very similarly to the rest of the Adidas stud patterns, maybe a little bit more aggressive, because this is kind of more of a true bladed stud pattern versus being more conical studs like you'll find across the rest of their boot lines. Nonetheless, I'm really, really happy with the overall feel and construction of the shoe. I think they did a good job. The design is interesting. It feels good on your feet. And it's a cool way of making a shoe that actually does work quite well. Something else that is definitely worth mentioning is the weight of this boot. In a size 9 US, which is what these are, brand new condition, these guys weigh in at right around 7.5 ounces. So for comparison's sake, that's very similar to an Adidas X 16.1. So not super, super light, obviously not heavy either, but I think a weight range that a lot of people are going to be happy with, not have any issues with at all. And again, it doesn't bother me. The shoe feels nice and solid on feet, but at the same time, doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel bulky. It feels like a high-end kind of thinner performance shoe, which is definitely what I want. And again, I'm happy with the 7.5 ounce weight range. Nothing really to complain about there. And in regards to the aesthetics and general look of the shoe, leave your opinion on it down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? Personally, I'm a big fan of these, especially in this particular colorway. You have the black and white base with the neon yellow Adidas stripes there on the lateral side, the Nemeziz branding on the back. The agility bandage branding is also in neon yellow, and then the stud tips are kind of like a almost dull neon yellow translucent, which actually looks pretty cool. I like this though. This to me looks very modern. It looks futuristic, but it's not too much. I like this cut here at the heel. Reminds me a lot of what Under Armour did before with the Blur Carbon 3. Not that I would say that this is a copy or anything like that. And again, I think it looks cool. I like the stripes. I like the interchanging pieces. There's a lot of detail on this shoe when you see it up close and hold it in your hands, which is really neat. And then you have the Nemeziz name that's kind of branded through these little straps right here. And I guess I should talk about the strap, because in my videos where we got to see some professional players wearing this early, I compared this to the Nitro Charge and the Energy Sling concept, and it really isn't like that. It's pretty much the same material throughout this entire midfoot area and in the forefoot. So for the most part, it doesn't really feel like the Energy Sling that we got on the Nitro Charges, but it definitely does look cool. The thing about where it says Nemeziz though, is on camera, you can see it very clearly has the Nemeziz lettering through these little band areas of the foot. But when you're holding the shoe in your hands up close, that is not immediately apparent. It's kind of hidden within the pattern. You guys will see what I'm talking about when you actually get to see them in person. But overall, it looks pretty cool. And then on the bottom of the sole plate, you can see you got a little bit of black detailing there through the translucent plastic, which again, I think is a cool little detail. So overall, I really like how these look. I'm a big fan of this colorway, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. That's enough about tech specs though. Let's take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So you can see on the right boot, I actually swapped out the stock white and black laces for some junior length neon yellow reflective SR4U replacement laces, just because I thought it accented really nicely with the Adidas stripes there on the lateral side. Anyways, if you guys are interested in a pair of SR4U replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. So getting them on, pretty straightforward. It's pretty much just a low-cut shoe. The only thing you have to work on, or I guess have to adjust a little bit when you're putting them on, is this little extension piece that does fit pretty tightly to the front lower part of your shin, kind of where your foot transitions into your leg. Not exactly sure what you would call that, but anyways, tying them up, pretty straightforward. Use a dual lace hole system because of the one-piece construction. So very similar to that of the Ace line, but it's a very shallow lacing system as well. You can see there's only basically, 1, 2, 3, 4 lace holes, lacing positions on either side. So it's not really a super deep lacing system, but the fit doesn't seem to suffer because of that. Also because of the way that they designed this, there's not really anywhere to tuck the laces unless you want to go up and then tuck it underneath, which I personally don't think works all that well. So I'm just going to leave them like that. Normally I would tuck them in. And again, putting them on, you'll find that these little rubberized grips or the silicone grips will grip you a little bit. So I like to kind of put my thumbs like this, make the opening as big as possible, and then just slide my foot in. It's a pretty straightforward process. And then from there, you just want to make sure that everything is kind of straight here and nothing's folded over. And it's pretty straightforward, really not a difficult process at all. Tie them up really quickly. The stock laces are really long for some reason. I'm not sure why they made them so long, given how short the lacing system actually is, but they're pretty long. And here is a look at the shoes on feet. And honestly, guys, out of the box, these are super, super comfortable. They remind me a lot of the Pure Chaos to a certain extent, but at the same time, it does have its own unique feel as well. The material at the front, the Agility Knit 2.0, is soft, is flexible. It feels really, really good. It offers a nice feel on the ball. I just think it's a good quality premium material, definitely an improvement over the original variation of Agility Knit. And then as far as the Agility bandages are concerned, running through the midfoot area, it's also very soft. It's got the padded liner on the inside, really nice against your foot. It has a nice snug wrap, but it doesn't feel like it's squeezing your feet. It doesn't feel overly tight by any means. And overall, they're just very, very comfortable. It's somewhat noticeable to have this extra material right here because it does fit pretty tight to your foot, but it's something that you stop noticing after wearing the shoes for a couple of minutes. And for the most part, they're comfortable out of the box. The heel lockdown is great. Very comfortable heel liner as well. No issues with slippage. And again, just a nice shoe out of the box. Doesn't feel like there's much to break in here whatsoever. As far as width is concerned, it's kind of a very similar shape to what you're going to find across the entire Adidas brand, as they are all kind of based off the same sprint frame design. This, of course, uses a torsion plate, so it's a little bit different, but the same general shape still applies here. So if you've worn an Adidas shoe, a modern Adidas shoe from the last 2 years or so, you can expect these to feel fairly similar in regards to overall shape and width. And width-wise, I'd say these are going to fit most people. I wouldn't expect them to stretch all that much, but as long as you don't have super, super wide feet, I think you're not going to have any issues fitting into these shoes in regards to width. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So that is pretty much it, guys, for my review of the Adidas Nemeziz 17.1. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the little eye in the corner of the screen or the first link down below in the description. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $225 retail price. If you have any questions regarding these shoes, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.